A world on fire. World War II. A global conflict that engulfed nations and reshaped the world order. Millions of lives hung in the balance as families were torn apart and entire communities displaced. The human cost was unimaginable. The fate of freedom itself was at stake. Propaganda fueled the war effort, rallying citizens to support the cause and soldiers to fight with unwavering resolve. On one side stood the Axis powers, led by the iron fist of Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany. Their vision was one of totalitarian control and ruthless expansion. Their goal, domination over Europe and beyond. They sought to impose their ideology through fear and military might. On the other side, the Allied forces, Great Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union, a fragile alliance united against tyranny. Despite their differences, they shared a common purpose. The early years of the war were dark. Cities were reduced to rubble, and the night skies were lit by the fires of destruction. Hitler's armies, a seemingly unstoppable force, swept across Europe, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. The world watched in horror as the Axis powers advanced. The shadow of the swastika, a symbol that cast a dark and ominous presence over Europe and the world. Hitler's early victories were stunning. Poland fell swiftly, its defenses overwhelmed by the sheer speed and ferocity of the German blitzkrieg. The world watched in shock as the Nazi war machine rolled on, seemingly unstoppable. France, once considered a mighty military power, crumbled under the blitzkrieg. The rapid advance of German forces left the French military in disarray, and soon Paris was under occupation. The fall of France sent shockwaves through the Allied nations. The Nazi war machine, fueled by fanaticism and advanced weaponry, seemed invincible. Their military parades showcased their might, and their advanced technology gave them a significant edge in battle. The world had never seen such a formidable force. Britain, standing alone against the Nazi onslaught, endured the Blitz, a relentless aerial bombardment that rained terror upon their cities. Night after night, the skies over London were filled with the ominous drone of German bombers, and the people of Britain huddled in shelters, determined to survive. The world held its breath. Could anyone stop Hitler? Propaganda posters urged citizens to stay strong, while radio broadcasts brought news of the latest developments. Soldiers prepared for the battles ahead, knowing that the fate of the world hung in the balance. The Battle of Britain, a clash of wills in the skies above England, marked a turning point. British radar stations played a crucial role in detecting incoming attacks, and the pilots of the Royal Air Force readied their aircraft for the fierce dogfights that would determine the outcome of the battle. The Royal Air Force, though outnumbered, fought with unwavering courage against the Luftwaffe, Germany's air force. Their determination and skill turned the tide, and the sight of damaged German planes crashing to the ground became a symbol of hope for the Allied forces. The bravery of these pilots ensured that Britain would not fall. Turning the tide. Hitler's ambitions stretched east. Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941, proved to be a fatal miscalculation. The vastness of Russia, the harshness of its winters, and the tenacity of the Soviet people would bleed the Nazi war machine dry. In the Pacific, the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941 brought the United States into the war with a vengeance. The sleeping giant was awakened. The tide was slowly beginning to turn. The Allied victory in North Africa, the brutal battles in Italy, and the relentless Soviet counteroffensives in the East gradually wore down the Nazi war machine. The D-Day landings in Normandy, France on June 6, 1944 marked the beginning of the end. Millions of soldiers, sailors, and airmen fought with incredible bravery and sacrifice. Civilians endured unimaginable hardships, their lives forever scarred by the horrors of war. The cost of freedom was high. Hitler's gamble for world domination ultimately failed. His vision of a 1,000-year Reich crumbled under the relentless pressure of the Allied forces. The cities that once echoed with his fervent speeches now lay in ruins, a stark testament to the destructive path he chose. The Nazi regime, responsible for unimaginable atrocities, was crushed. The liberation of concentration camps revealed the horrifying extent of their crimes. The world watched in shock as the Nuremberg trials brought the architects of this terror to justice. World War II was a conflict that tested the limits of human endurance and the very essence of humanity. Soldiers fought bravely on the front lines, while civilians endured unimaginable hardships in war-torn cities. Amidst the chaos, acts of kindness and bravery shone through, as soldiers and civilians alike helped each other survive. It was a war won not by one single battle or decision, but by the collective courage, resilience, and sacrifice of millions. Soldiers from different nations came together, united by a common cause. The war memorials that stand today are a tribute to their bravery and the ultimate price many paid. We must never forget the lessons learned from that terrible conflict, the fragility of peace, the cost of war, and the immense effort required to rebuild. Peace treaties marked the end of hostilities, but the scars of war remained, visible in the shattered cities and the lives forever changed. The importance of unity in the face of tyranny became clear. Allied leaders met to forge a new path forward, and the founding of the United Nations symbolized a commitment to preventing such a catastrophe from happening again. Diverse groups of soldiers stood together, a testament to the power of unity. And the enduring power of the human spirit was evident as soldiers reunited with their families, civilians celebrated the end of the war, and war heroes were honored for their sacrifices. The joy and relief were palpable, a stark contrast to the years of suffering and loss. These are the legacies of World War II, a conflict that forever shaped our world. The memorials, the stories of rebuilding, and the historical footage of post-war recovery remind us of the resilience of the human spirit and the importance of remembering our past to build a better future.